If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derrick Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. Now, one of the most common fears that everyone expresses, it's the number one fear when it comes to planning for retirement, is, of course, running out of money. Coming up on a close second is, well, how much do I have to have saved? Is there a, quote, magic number? Well, for retirement savings, this magic number has swelled to an all-time high. There's a recent study that found that Americans estimate they should save at least $1.46 million for a comfortable retirement. But the problem is they're worried they're not going to be able to reach that goal. So a couple things here, guys. Steve, do you think that we should focus on a number when it comes to retirement planning, or is that a mistake?
Absolutely not. I think you need to focus on how much income that money can generate during retirement. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need a nice nest egg, but it's all about how much income you could generate. And if you think about the fulcrum, kind of the effect you can have, when you have time on your side and can let that money grow, that income amount roll up every year, let's say at 9.5%, let it roll up every year. So say you had 10,000 would come a month now. Each year that would grow by 9.5%, that number. You know, a lot of people, Derrick, come to see us and say, I have this bucket of money over here. You know, I changed jobs. I have this IRA money, this 401k money. What do I need to do with it? So many people say that they need to let it grow. I disagree. Yes, it needs to grow and you need to mitigate the risk. But when you let that start rolling up for income, it really makes a huge difference. Derrick?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors here. And I always kind of wonder, like, where do they get these numbers from? You know, it's sort of like a random, arbitrary number they throw out there. But yes, having more assets definitely makes it easier in retirement. And, you know, the more you have, you know, the better, obviously. But as far as planning aspect and whether or not you're going to have a certain amount of money and you need that certain amount of money to live, that comes a lot down to a couple things. Like, Steve, you mentioned income, right? Where's your income coming from? And when we talk about income here, guys, we're talking about guaranteed sources of income like Social Security, or in most cases, your job, unless you're laid off by email, apparently. But, you know, where is your income coming from that you can rely on? Because if your answer is the stock market, that's not the correct answer. The volatility that the stock market produces every year, I mean, we've been through 2001, 2008, 2020, in 2022. I mean, and that's just four right off the top of my head, right? I mean, when you have a 20% loss and you're taking income off of that money, you're just digging a way deeper hole. So you have to have a different strategy there. And that goes to, you know, Steve, you're always talking about different buckets of money and how they work together. But yeah, I mean, an arbitrary number is not what we're looking for. It's how you can grow that income, how you can sustain it and have guaranteed source of income, and also have other assets that are meant to grow. You have assets that maybe you use for long-term care, or you have a long-term care policy. I mean, we look at all those different type of things because that's far more important than just the number you have. It's the plan that you put in place for that. And that's something that, I mean, we do on a daily basis for people. That's far more valuable for people than just giving me a number there. So,
well, you know, our phones, we had so many people call last week because we talked about income, you know, and people are calling going, I need some help with my income. What I find so often, Derrick, is that people would go ahead and retire if they had the income component figured out. You just don't know what you don't know. And if you have that and have a partnership with someone like us where you can sit down and have that plan, then you kind of have like a dartboard. You know, if I retire today, I'm going to be out here. If I retire in a couple of years, a little bit closer in. If I retire, say, in 4 years is my magic number, I'm right in the middle. But, you know, I'll see a lot of people all of a sudden because of health reasons or family reasons or their job leaves them, like Tesla. You have to retire early. So, I mean, there's lots of options out there. But what I know is the numbers never lie.
There are some in the financial world that consider the word annuities to be bad. But Barron's writer Elizabeth O'Brien, she says the stigma is just largely outdated.
Well, these are not your father's annuities. These are different. The annuities that got a bad rap, and sometimes deservedly so, were often variable annuities that had very high fees, high surrender charges. They were just not the greatest investments. But the ones that are now starting to crop up in 401k plans are fixed annuities, which have historically been lower cost. Now in 401k plans, they're even lower because you've got institutional pricing. And so they're definitely a different breed of annuity that's worth a look to divert a portion of your 401k into guaranteed income for life.
Well, the problem really is that while annuities have been permitted in 401ks for several years now, only about 13% of the plans offer them. So how do we create this opportunity for ourselves?
Oh, well, anybody over the age of 59 and a half, or I say anybody, 95% of people over 59 and a half can take control of their 401k. So the open market has a ton of different annuities, guys. And I'm going to tell you, fixed index annuities and fixed annuities are where it's at. I mean, most of the time, our strategy is either no fee if you're looking for growth, or an income plan for an income rider annuity, and we don't use variable annuities, and that's something that she touched on there. They are high in fees, and if you've had an annuity longer than 5 years, guys, most likely, if you take our annuity challenge, we're going to kill that thing. And I'll tell you, because just the other day, I had a client came in, had 2 annuities, and Steve, you're not going to believe this. Their S&P cap, and everybody, what that is the most you can gain in the S&P 500 index, which is the most common index for indexed annuities, was 2.5%.
Wow!
Steve.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I mean, fixed annuities are at 5%, and they're capped at 2.5%. Yeah, they're cutting his legs out from under him. So we're moving those currently, and we've probably moved 5 or 6 in the last 2 weeks, guys. I mean, take our annuity challenge. If you have an old annuity, I mean, we can kill that thing, guys. I'm telling you right now.
Well, Derrick, it's exciting when you think about, one of our strategies has 10% fixed year one. So just think about put $100,000 in there, put $500,000 in there for year one. It's not tied to the market. It's 100% fixed. Boom, 10%. And then the beginning of year two, you can then tie it to the S&P 500 with a 15% cap. So what that means to you out there is that if the S&P is up 12%, you get 12%. If it's up 16% the next year, you get 15%. That's how much you make of the movement. But the great thing is, in 2022, when the S&P was down nearly 20%, zero is your hero, and you don't lose anything that year. So you can't lose money, you can only make money. But when you can capture up to 15% of the cap, it's huge. Call us, we'll sit down and talk about the details on how it works. But why would you want to be out there in the market right now when it's hanging out there so far? And, there's so many strategists talking about that we'll have the largest correction in the history of the stock market in this year, 2024. What's interesting is, why would you want to be in the market when today, why would you not want this kind of protected strategy as compared to being out there in the market? So many economists out there are talking about in 2024, it will have the largest correction in the history of my lifetime. Wow. I mean, think about that. So, safe money is where it's out. Absolutely. Like Derrick says, you need market exposure. Sure you do. But you need upside potential and mitigate the risk. That's what it's about.
Steve, those are a lot of great opportunities that you're talking about here. And Derrick, just a few moments ago, you mentioned the annuity challenge that our listeners can call and give it to you and say, hey, Derrick, Steve, here's the annuity challenge from me. Tell me what you can do. Tell me more about this challenge and what can our listeners get from you?
Oh, absolutely. Annuity challenge is kind of a thing me and Steve started a while back. And, we had seen so many people that were looking at annuities, and they had old ones, and they were bringing them to us. I mean, it was constant that they'd bring us and, hey, I had this, annuity. It's not doing very much for us. And we start to look at it, and guess what? Just they weren't. So we started doing an annuity challenge, and we have things in YouTube videos and all kinds of stuff about it. And, send us your statement, come in the office, whatever you want to do, and we can sit down and look over your annuity. And within 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you, is it good? Is it bad? The ugly of it? And verify that it's meeting what you bought it for in the first place. Meeting that need is very important. If you're 80 years old and you have an income rider on your annuity that you've never activated, I can tell you right now, you're in the wrong annuity. So there's so many different factors there. Give me 15 minutes, guys, and I can give you 2 years of your life back where you can drag that away from your boss, right? And, retire. And when we look at people that have funds in the market, like Steve mentioned, take control of that. Steve, the number one thing we hear when people come in our office is, I'm in the 100% in the market and I hope it doesn't go down, right?
Mm-hmm. Hope's not a plan, Derrick.
Yeah, we hear it all the time. And it's like, just like you said, hope is not a plan. Take that step forward, and I will show you, if you don't have an annuity, how an annuity can benefit you as a piece of your portfolio to create and mitigate less risk in your portfolio. So if something does happen, like in 2024 that they're projecting out, then it's not going to ruin it where you have to work another 10 years, guys. Come on.
Well, what's interesting, Derrick, is I have people say, wait, I have a couple more years of surrender charge. We'll figure that out. We have bonuses that will make up for that. And also, so many people are hanging out there with that annuity because when I get ready to turn this income on, this income is so high. Absolutely not. It's not high. We can beat that income 90 to 95% of the time. So just sit down and, a lot of people call our office and we'll send you a secure link so you can upload that statement. Then let's get on the phone and talk about it. Doesn't cost you to talk about it, but it can make a huge difference in your financial future.
Now, Steve, you've been in the business. You've been doing this over 3 decades. There's a reason why you've been doing it so well. You help people just like our listeners, get to that retirement finish line with flying colors and confidence. What do you think makes you and Hoyle Financial stand out?
You know what? I think it's all about the details. It's our Hoyle Financial family serving our client's family. We're going to sit down and get to know you and really find out what's most important to you. So many people want to just focus on the numbers, but when we're going to focus on not only the emotions of your money, but also those numbers and really have a plan in place. It's not a cookie cutter deal. We're going to focus on your taxes. We're going to focus on legacy planning. We're going to focus on income. We're going to focus on mitigating the risk and making sure the plan you have is not only what you want, but it'll get you in retirement, or if you're in retirement, it'll get you through retirement. Having a plan, working the plan. We've been doing that for nearly 35 years. We'd really like to sit down and do it for you. A lot of people call us and say, am I in good shape? Well, I don't know. Call us. Let's sit down and for 15 minutes, talk about what you have going on, and then we'll figure out if we can help.
Don't you just hate hidden fees? And it turns out comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, he is thinking the same thing we are, and he is not laughing.
It ain't right. Went to a restaurant last night, and I got the bill, and they charged me a COVID fee. And I asked the guy, I go, what's the COVID fee? He goes, yeah, we got to wipe down the menus. Wipe down the menus. You're charging $3 to wipe down your own menus? Before COVID, what? You just brought out the menu with spaghetti sauce on it? Eliminate the COVID fee. And they charged me 3.5% credit card fee because I was using the credit card. It's a bad look. It's a real bad look as a business. Absorb the fee. It's called the cost of doing business. It ain't right.
Listen, I'm with him. It ain't right, guys. What do you think about this, Steve?
I'm telling you, it's all about how much you pay in taxes and fees. Fees are the silent killer. So many people come in to see us, as we were talking about in an earlier segment, about variable annuities, and they say, well, there's no fee here. It's not on my statement. Well, there is a fee. So often the same thing. People come in and say, I'm going to keep my money in the 401k because, the company's paying the fees. Oh, no, they are not. When you went to work there, you received a prospectus when you got in that 401k and you threw it in the trash. It outlines the fees. Derrick, what do we see? 6-7% fees sometimes in a 401k?
Yeah, it depends on how they're invested. But Steve, those prospectuses are like 30 pages, right? Nobody's reading those.
No one's reading that. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But one of the things, like even your standard mutual funds and things like that, they have front load and back end fees. And they could be easily 6%. So you put in $100,000 and you have 94 when you start. And you don't see that. And there's so many hidden fees in portfolios that, that's one of the things we analyze and we stress test your portfolio for fees. how much are you paying in fees? And what is that doing to your portfolio? And is there adjustments you can make within your portfolio to do something different to lower those fees? I mean, most of the index annuities, Steve, that we use, they don't have any fees. And that's something that if you have $100,000, you put $100,000 in there. So there's a lot of that stuff that happens, and he's right. We're like, you think that they would absorb the cost, right? But no. That's not.
No.
That'd be too easy.
But Derrick,
Yeah.
what I think is crazy is how many Americans are sitting out there over 59 and a half, and they could take control of their money and do something about it. You know, even if you severed from your company and you're 55, you can take control of your money. It's all about controlling that money, watching out for the taxes, and then mitigating the fees, and then making sure that money's protected. You know, if we have another 32% correction, you know, being over 60, doing this for 35 years, I laugh that I got started when I was 25. But you know what the advantage is? I went through with my clients 2008. We stress tested 2008, and I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't pretty, but I'm telling you what's ahead for us, I think it's a whole lot worse than 2008.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derrick or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyle, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyle is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyle is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.